The glow plugs don't work on the 82K10, and we're going to fix them. Today we've got our handy dandy 6.2 liter diesel engine service manual for all of these trucks, and I happen to have bookmarked the page that helps us troubleshoot the glow plugs. So there's this nice flow chart that kind of gives you some preliminary checks. We're going to go through this flow chart and see what happens. So the first thing the service manual tells us to do is check to see if there's current going to the glow plugs when there should be. We've already confirmed that there's not current going to the glow plugs when there should be. So we're going to check that there's a 20 amp fuse in the IGN/GAU fuse slot. So we're going to check that fuse and see if it's blown.
Here's the fuse block underneath the driver's side dash, and you can see, I told you wrong, I said IGN GAU. It's actually GAU idle. This is the fuse we're going to check, so I'm going to pull that out and check it.
So there's the fuse that came out. That looks to be good to me, so we go to step 2. Here's a troubleshooting chart. It says if there's no current, then we check the 20 amp fuse. The fuse is okay, so we go over here. We're going to listen for the glow plug relay operation. It should be clicking on and off if engine is cold. So let's check that next. So we're going to listen for the glow plug relay to click. I do not hear anything. You got the ignition on?
It's on.
Alright, we can disconnect this. I don't hear any action there at all. Alright, let's find out what the next step is. Alright, so we checked the relay. The relay is not operating, so it says go to chart, relay not operating. Well, that's on the next page here. Here we go. Relay not operating. With ignition and run, connect a 12 volt test light to ground and touch the pink and black wire in the glow plug relay connector. Alright, let's see if that's turning on. Alright, we got power going to the relay. You can turn it off. Now it says to check the blue wire. Alright, turn it on. And we got light there. Let's see what it says to do there. Turn it off. Okay, so the light was on. We touched the light blue wire terminal at the glow plug relay connector. That light was on. So now it says disconnect the glow plug shutdown connector from the glow plug shutdown switch and touch the light blue wire in the connector. I'm not sure what that connector is, but we're going to find out. So here's the wiring diagram, and I do not see a glow plug shutdown connector switch anywhere in here. The only thing I see is this temperature inhibit switch, which is not present on this truck. This truck's an 82, and it did not have that. So I do not see any other switch in here that talks about glow plug inhibit disconnect. So we're going to bypass that step. Alright, so if we skip this light on step here, disconnect the connector at thermal controller and touch the blue wire terminal in connector. Alright, so we're going to check that next. So the thermal controller is on the back of the cylinder head here. It's right in there if you can see it. So I'm going to disconnect that and run the next check. The next step is to turn the ignition on and check the light blue wire again, and you can see we do have power there. So let's look at the next step. So we just performed this step here. Disconnect the connector at thermal controller and touch the blue wire. The light was on, so we connect a test light to 12 volt source and touch pin 5 and 6 black wires. I had to go to the book to figure out which are pins 5 and 6. Here's a diagram of the controller. So you see pin 1 is exactly opposite of the notch on the controller, and then it goes counterclockwise around. So we're going to check pin 5 and 6. The next step is to connect the test light to the 12 volt and test pins 5 and 6, which if you look at the controller, you have to consider the mirror image of it, but pins 5 and 6 are opposite. Okay, so pin 1 is this one right here, opposite of the notch. 2, which is not used on an 82, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we've got to check pin 5 and 6 to see if there's power to those. Here we go.
The ignition's off.
Power to 5, power to 6. So we got power to both of those. Let's see what the next step is. The book says the light is on for both wires. That's the condition we have. Go to thermal controller check chart. So here we go. So here's our thermal controller check chart. You can see here it gives you what the pin check should be. 2 to 3, 4 to 5, 1 to 5, and 2 to 6. And we're going to check, according to this chart, our thermal controller, but I got a good mind to think that it's probably bad. So we'll check that out now. So here's the news. We checked all of these pins 2 to 3, 4 to 5, 1 to 5, and 2 to 6. All of them were within spec except for pin 2 to 3. So let's look at the schematic and see what that means. So here's the schematic of the glow plugs here, the glow plug controller. I'm seeing something that doesn't quite match up with the manual. So 2 to 3, it says it should be 0.75 ohms, which if this was a direct connection to a switch, then I would agree with that. But I see this heater here is 45 ohms. And there's another heater there for 32 ohms, and we came up with 35 on this. I know what that means. So that means that this is open right here. And if that is open, then we never get ground to the glow plug relay. So there's our problem right there. We should have direct connection as long as this, as long as we're below 300 degrees, and we do not have that. We're currently open on this circuit, which means glow plug's not going to work. So there's problem number 1. Now let's see if the relay actually does what it's supposed to do. Alright, now we're going to check to make sure this relay is doing what it's supposed to do. We're obviously not getting power to the relay because of the controller, so let's see if the relay actually clicks. Alright, I can hear the relay clicking. Now the question is it actually putting current to the glow plugs? We'll check that next. So we checked the power to the relay. We're not getting it because the glow plug controller is bad. It's out of spec. And then as another measure, we just checked the relay, and the relay is not working either. So the contacts are burned out on the relay. The relay will change states, meaning when you energize it, you can hear it click, but there's no continuity between the 2 poles on the relay that would actually put power to the glow plug controller. So even if you wired this thing up manually so that it would turn the relay on, you know, with an external switch, it wouldn't work because the relay's shot. So we need a new glow plug controller and we need a new relay. So that's next on the list.